name is John. You already know what it's going to be. It's going down in a few more seconds. Valencia Real Podcast. Let's go.
What's up, fam? It's your boy, Dr. Mike, and it's almost that time to get real, raw, and relatable. Looking forward to talking to y'all soon. Peace.
What's up, everybody? It's your boy, Terrence. Welcome back to another season of Relentlessly Real Podcast. So excited to have you all back. We got a lot of great stuff. Check us out.
You're now listening to The Real.
Man, I appreciate them dudes for talking about
The Raw.
Wait, they were talking about
The Relatable.
That's exactly what I've been going through.
The Relentlessly Real Podcast.
Good morning, and welcome.
Yo.
Welcome to another amazing episode of the Relentlessly Real Podcast, where we discuss real, raw, and relatable topics. Thank you for taking the time to listen to our podcast today. Let's kick this off with some introductions. My name is John.
My name's Mike.
And as always, I'm Terrence.
Still Terrence. Fish, you got your earpiece in? Are you all right? You good?
I'm good. I'm good.
Yeah, good Lord. I mean, I don't know. We're just trying to do a podcast here. You know, don't let us interrupt you. You know what I'm saying?
Nothing too big.
Yeah, man. So welcome back to another podcast episode. I guess we're a little bit slow to get people on here today, but it's all good. We're still going to keep it moving forward. We're excited because we had a great conversation last week about toxic masculinity and fatherhood and losing kids and all of those things that are all encompassing conversation, which makes it great to kind of talk as men and discuss those topics and be able to understand what we think about when it comes to that. And so later on in the podcast, of course, we're going to jump right back into that topic, toxic masculinity and raising kids. But before we do that, I got a question of the day for you. And I don't know if I should show it or if I should read it, because it was actually a very funny. I'll show it actually. So this is the post, and I want you to know, what would you do if this happened to you? Dang, man ghosted his fiance on their wedding day because she had a bachelorette party, and a video was sent to him from her sister of the male stripper having chocolate drip off his private part into her mouth. LOL. And I wanted to know, it raised this question for me. It raised this question for me that what if a video surfaced of your spouse and at a bachelorette party, and the male stripper has chocolate drip dripping off of his eggplant, if you will, into her mouth. Would you still be getting married to her on that wedding day? Or would you have some slight pauses about moving forward in terms of the nuptials? Because dude ended up ghosting her. He said, I can't do it. I can't do it. I can't get married to you. And so with that being said, it made me really ask that honest question of my friends here on the podcast. Like, literally, what would you do if you received a video from your sister or your brother saying, hey man, I somehow this surfaced, I saw it, and it's of your soon-to-be wife. She has chocolate drip going down the side of her lip right here, right down the side of her lip. and you see the eggplant, has chocolate drip. You're doing 1 + 1 = 2. What would you do if you received that footage?
So the problem is, right? The problem is I would question everything. Absolutely. I'm under the impression and understanding that my wife is going into marriage, like into holy matrimony type situation with me, knowing that she came into it as a virgin, and yeah, just experiences like that. You have to like understanding her background and stuff, you have to work up to something like that. You know what I'm saying? Like you don't just like go in like full, eggplant dripping chocolate down your face type situation. That'll make me question everything, morale, all of that stuff after that. And I think the answer would be no, at least till we have a discussion like, hey, what the heck? Like, okay, now trust issues, all that, like, I don't know, all this type of stuff would just be flowing through my mind, bro. Like, that's crazy. That's crazy.
This
crazy.
might be over. Like,
I
think the relationship is over. Yeah,
the whole relationship away.
I think it's over.
Y'all done?
Yeah.
No.
I think
Go ahead.
I think that there's two things here. One, you did it. Let's be very clear. The first problem is that you did it. You have 6 to 8 inches and chocolate coming out of your mouth, and you did it. The second thing is you did it in front of people and on camera. You have no regard. You have
Exactly.
and you did it going into it. And so as a serious conversation, I was just having this discussion with some students of mine about like how this is a practice for like how you work in schools is a practice for like your career or your college or whatever it is. And this is a practice for high school. And so a lot of times is middle school, like most people don't know, middle school is it's a joke. In other words, I can click a button and push a kid to high school. Make sense? The issue with middle school, because it's not mandated by the state. It's not, the only thing that it really is high school. So legitimately, what we do is we pick up habits in middle school. If you're a lazy student in middle school, you'll be a lazy student in high school. And so you're practicing the habit. And a lot of times in relationships, we have these things. Well, I'll do that once I get married. I'll cook and clean for him once we get married. Until then, I'm not his wife, so I'm not doing wife things.
Mm-hmm.
And you just can't turn those things on. So if she has slut behavior, or turn them off. So if she has thoughtened down behavior like the day before, not even like, we're not even talking about up into it, like the couple of minutes before, I'm expecting her to have that same mentality or same attributes after. I don't understand. I don't know how we move forward, honestly.
Yeah.
No, I agree with that. Like, there are things you need to be in preparation for to be married to somebody for the rest of your life.
But she's prepping by getting the chocolate syrup on her. That's her getting ready. That's her prepping.
But she went full send, bro. Like, I'm talking about from 0 to 100. Like, that's the epitome of that.
Yo, Super Saiyan, like legitimately.
Did y'all have bachelorette party? I mean bachelorette. Did y'all have bachelor parties for y'all before y'all got married?
Not like I wanted.
Like, could your wife see the live footage of your bachelor party of everything
Absolutely.
that happened? Everything. Hold on, let me frame the question before you say absolutely. Everything that transpired at the bachelor party, she could see it, and no 100%. Problems at all. She would be
no
good.
Issues.
Okay.
Now I'm not happy about that too, but still, I'm not happy about that. Like, cause I would have loved to like wild out, but
push the envelope a little bit, right?
No, I didn't push any nothing.
Yeah,
it was probably boring.
I got it. Really?
I think
I don't remember. I wasn't at your.
Yeah, you didn't come, John.
Sorry. All right, Dr. Mike. What were you saying, man?
Wow.
You don't want to talk about that.
So my bachelor party was different. I think we just went paintballing. What's sad is like I don't remember whether we went. I don't know what I did for my bachelor party, but I think I went paintballing.
Oh, you don't remember?
I know that sounds. Yeah, like it's kind of weird. Like, not, I don't remember because I was drinking too much or whatever like that. But like I think we went paintballing. I know that sounds weird. Like, I should remember what my bachelor party was, but
it does. I'm not gonna lie to you. It does sound weird.
I think around that time though, like, just everything was just so fast in reference to like the wedding and all the stuff happening in between. I'm just like, oh yeah, I need a bachelor party, I guess. You know what I'm saying? Like, it was one of those type of things. So
I don't know if I would
if I was to do it.
I'm sorry. I thought you were done. My bad. Go ahead. I think.
Yeah, if I was to do it over and like have an actual like a bachelor party, like extravagant party or whatever, I guess I wouldn't need to make sure it's something that is that my wife could go back and look at a video and be like, okay, thumbs up, everything's good. No chicks around, no chicks. Okay, all right, cool.
Yeah, I mean, I think for me, I would not want my wife. My wife didn't know exact. She knew exactly where I ended up doing. T, you wasn't there. I don't think. I didn't know Mike then, but T, you wasn't there. But we ended up going to Atlanta. We were in Atlanta, and
I actually wasn't invited.
Oh, you wasn't invited?
I was just
this is
usher.
awkward.
I was just an usher.
Oh, you was just an usher?
I wasn't a groomsman.
What's funny is, okay, guys. So what's funny is we didn't go to each other's wedding. I think the only wedding that we all went to on this podcast was Mike's.
I didn't go to Mike's either.
You didn't go to Mike's? How was the Mike's wedding?
No,
I had a baby.
You had a baby?
I had a baby.
Oh, you're a woman now?
You sure?
Yeah. But Mike, thank you for inviting me, though. I appreciate it. But yeah, because you're like, what are you like? You're it's about to be 6 years, right?
About to be 6, yeah.
Yeah, London was just born.
Dude, seriously?
Mm-hmm.
I feel like you were there, but
it's okay. It's all right. Either way,
yeah.
all I was pointing out was that no one went to each other's weddings. Basically, nobody.
Would you like to point out why you didn't come? Would you like to point out why you weren't at my wedding?
If we want to say, and Seth, we see your comment. Why did her sister send the video though? The sister's trash. We definitely think that's terrible.
She sent it to the dude. She said it to the dude.
So was it her sister or?
I think it was his sister.
Back to the,
I'm about to go back to it, but I think it was his sister. I'm not sure, but I think either way, it doesn't matter whose sibling sent it because it's still trash.
Right.
Go see his fiance on their wedding day because she had a bachelorette party and a video was sent to him from her sister.
She's trash.
So it's from her, not his sister, her sister. So
wait.
She wants her man.
Or
yeah. There it is.
Yeah, okay.
There it is.
Either the sister wants her man, or the sister was like, yo, my sister is really trash that you're about to marry right now. So much so that she's doing.
I'm gonna show you who she really is.
I'm gonna show you who she really is.
That's hilarious. I did not make it to Terrence's wedding. Not that anybody cares, but I did not make it to Terrence's wedding because I actually won a trip to go to Miami for free. And I said, God, what would you have me to do? Go to Terrence's wedding or go on this free trip to Miami, all expense paid, all the alcohol I wanted, all the I could live my very best life for a weekend or go to Terrence's wedding. And God told me very clearly what to do.
As you all can see, the level of trash this guy really is.
That was when I was younger.
John was sitting on the beach like, yo.
I literally hit him. I think I hit him on my way somewhere. I think I literally called him on the way to. But either way, guys, who cares? I mean,
but this way I'm at.
That's old news. You know,
he wasn't a groomsman. Like I actually invited.
Yeah, I'm about to say I wasn't in the wedding.
I invited him to play the piano. Like I didn't
exactly. You invited me to work. Moving on. We would love to go right into the best segment. One of the best segments of this particular podcast is Terrence's segment. Man, it's called NextFlick or Chill. And Terrence, what do you have for us today?
All right, so listen up. I always promise as much as possible to be spoiler free, and because this movie just came out yesterday, I am going to be spoiler free. I'm not going to give any spoilers, so you don't have to pause and stop. I'm not giving any spoilers. The Batman, I was one of the movies that I was really excited to see in 2022. This is one of them, probably top, and that's the reason why I asked John, don't even play a trailer from the movie. When it was released that they were making another Batman movie, and not only was Christian Bale not coming back, Ben Affleck wasn't coming back, but somebody brand new, everybody was like, oh, not another Batman movie. I don't want to see it. Oh, my God, it's too many Batman movies. We restart this movie. And I'm not going to lie, I was just like, I was kind of with them. I said, but let me back up. He's my favorite comic book character. I said, I want to know who's directing the movie, right? Ben Affleck was supposed to direct it. He got pulled. And they said Matt Reeves is going to direct it. I have said this, and I will say this time and time again. I don't care about who's acting in the movie. Tell me who wrote it. Tell me who directed it. And I'm going to tell you either a great movie or a horrible movie. And so what you're watching is clips from some of Matt Reeves' best movies because he's a phenomenal director. Cloverfield is underrated. And so this is Cloverfield. Is an underrated movie, probably one of the best movies like that I've seen. Planet of the Apes, when they relaunched Planet of the Apes, all three of these movies were absolutely outstanding. and they went a different direction than the original movie should have went. They were well written, they were well acted, they were well portrayed in cinematography. They were all great films. And so when I saw that Matt Reeves was directing the Batman, I said, I have to see this movie. I got to see it. People are going to hate me for this, and I don't care. The Batman was one of the best Batman movies we've ever seen. It's the best Batman. It's probably one of the best comic book movies I have ever seen in my entire life. And I am so excited that I feel vindicated because I said it to a bunch of my friends. It's going to be good. I said, it's Matt Reeves. He's directing it. The cinematography, the music, the acting, Matt Reeves is a phenomenal director. And so I always will say, like, the Penguin is played by Colin Farrell, and you don't even know that that's Colin Farrell. Like,
isn't that the dude from the Vampire Jump?
The Colin Farrell was from Phone Booth. He's played a lot of, like, he's not SWAT. SWAT, yes.
Total Recall.
And he's playing the freaking Penguin.
He's a vampire dude. He's from the Vampire Jump with the little.
No,
isn't that him?
You're thinking about who's playing the Batman. He's talking about
yeah.
Patterson.
Oh, I'm sorry. Am I talking about the wrong person?
Twilight.
Okay.
Yes,
I'm not the guy. Okay, you're right.
John, you're right too. You are right.
Like, oh God.
Nobody wanted to see it. It was like, why is he playing Batman? He's Twilight. He's
Twilight.
Yeah,
Twilight. There it is. That's
he's
what
Twilight. Listen, man. You can throw. I'm telling you, throw Twilight out the window. This dude's Batman. Forget Twilight. He will, to me, he will be known as Batman, especially if he does another one. This is the best portrayal of Batman I have seen on screen. I'm not Tyson. Wow. And I'm telling everybody, you need to see this movie. Catwoman was played, and I always thought Michelle Pfeiffer was great. And remember how people said about the Joker, there'll never be another Joker. When they felt that Joaquin Phoenix was playing Joker, that's cool. He won't be Heath Ledger. And I remember that people said the same thing about when Heath Ledger got it. He won't be Jack Nicholson. And then everybody's like, well, Heath Ledger he's great. And there'll be Heath Ledger. And then you saw Joaquin Phoenix, and he won an Oscar for his portrayal of the Joker. It's the same thing. This movie is great. It's just phenomenal. It's well worth. It's 3 hours. You can't tell. And I'm not giving any spoilers, but if you go back and watch the Batman movies, any movie, Batman and all the other movies, he's probably Batman for maybe at best 10% of the movie. 10% of the movie. He's Batman in this movie for 90% of the movie. And that was one of the, so hence the title, The Batman. He is Batman in most of this movie. And it's like a crime cop drama. It doesn't come across as a comic book movie. If you've ever seen Seven, if you've ever seen Zodiac, if you've ever seen these crime trying to solve a serial killer, this movie looks just like a serial killer movie, but just with Batman. It's a great movie.
I'm excited to see this one. I've heard really good things. You're the second or third person that's been like, yo, this is a movie you need to see. Like, I heard what I did hear about it was that Gotham was like truly portrayed for like in a way that has never been portrayed before. Like, you actually understand what Gotham City's about and all that through this particular movie.
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward.
Man. I'm excited to see it too. I'm actually going to see it today after 6. So thanks for not spoiling it.
I'm not gonna spoil it. But Mike, hit me up. When you walk out the theater, hit me up. Just like text, like, bruh.
Is Renee going too? I'm sorry. Is Renee going?
Nah. This is one of the ones I gotta go by myself.
There it is. So listen, guys. If you don't know already, Russia, has been attacking Ukraine, and the greatest explanation of this has come from TikTok, unfortunately. And I have to go ahead and play this particular video. Hopefully, you enjoy the way she breaks it all down for us. This is what she says here.
Okay, so boom. We was mad at Big T for being cool with Big Bang P, but Big Bang P just linked up with China, and if I'm not mistaken, Big Bang P is one of the richest men in the world, and everybody and their mama owe China some money, so we might have the issue, but this is what happened. Big Bang P was looking at Ukraine, and he like, I like that territory. It's like real close to Russia, and I feel like it belongs to us, so I'm finna come get it. So he didn't move his military close to the border, and he letting them know, like, I'm finna come get it, like, just letting y'all know, right? And so Ukraine is like, we don't know what he's gonna do. So they got their military out there teaching their citizens how to do Taibo just in case they gotta defend themselves. But some of the citizens, they like, you know what? Big Bang P, he is kind of crazy, but he ain't gonna bust a grape. And if he do bust a grape, guess what? America gonna come over here and help us. But my whole thing is like, I don't know if y'all forgot what happened in Afghanistan, but we was over there for over 20 years and nobody understood the assignment. So personally, I just would not put all my eggs in the American basket. I done seen the type of people that are American military employed, and no disrespect, but y'all him to go to them continuation schools in the hood and go get you some real shooters. That's all I'm gonna say. But anyway, so Biden didn't hop in, right? So Big Daddy Biden, he didn't hop into the mix, and he like, look, P, stop playing with me. I know you're trying to be funny because America over here arguing about abortion rights and affirmative action during Black History Month, but I ain't got time for this right now. So if you pull up over there, it's gonna be some smoke. And you're gonna get sanctioned. I'm sending you a whole receipt. Like, you're gonna have to pay this bill. And P is like, bruh, let me tell you something. By the look of the inflation in America and y'all homelessness problem y'all got over there, y'all need this money. So go ahead and send me the bill, bruh. I'll pay it in cash. And so at this point, it's out of our hands.
The best explanation of the war that I've ever seen. I'm not even gonna lie to you.
It's the okay boom every time.
Yeah.
Okay boom.
And Big P and I was like, yeah, I get it. So one of y'all gonna go ahead and expound upon that. So give me a little bit more information about where we are with this war.
So I'm 30 seconds. Putin and Kim Jong-un are they're probably one of the last remaining old school nationalists. Like, my country is first. My country, like, historically, we're great. My country is better than yours. All that jazz, right? And so, which is why they don't have democracies. And so Putin believes that Ukraine belonged to him. Historically, the territory was part of ours. And he pretty much promised people that he's going to get it back. So he's trying to get it back. But we don't do that anymore. This is 2022. You don't just invade territories and just take what you want. At least not like using your military, And so he's pretty much challenging the UN. I'm going to do this. And I know you said you guys are going to stop us from doing this, but y'all ain't going to do nothing. So he's like, y'all not really about that life. Yeah. And so Putin is pretty much challenging the United Nations to do something about this. And they're like, we're going to condemn it. But what is this condemning really doing? Every time they reach out, we condemn him. He shouldn't do that. We're going to sanction. He takes more territory. Eventually, somebody's going to have to squat up. Somebody's going to have to put their fist up. Somebody's going to have to punch, because this is getting pretty bad. And the reason why I think Americans should care is because Russia gives us 12 to 15% of our oil every year comes from Russia. Mm-hmm. That's done. So if you think gas is going to go down because Biden raised his little magic fingers and release more, no. It's about to get worse. It's about to get worse.
I can't even imagine it getting worse, honestly.
Yes. And if like
you better invest in your EV right now.
Yes. It's about to get I don't have those problems. So.
Oh, wow. Major flex, Terrence. Major flex.
Yeah.
Oh, so people get electric vehicles. They don't know how to act. That's very arrogant.
Don't know how to act.
Very arrogant.
Don't know how to act.
So what were you about to say, Mike? I'm sorry.
Yeah, so like to what Terrence was saying, man, like this has been an ongoing battle for years though. Like for Russia trying to get at Ukraine. Mm-hmm. So the issue, or some of the things that they want to get out of Ukraine, is like they have these, I guess, at some point in time back in the early 2000s, maybe 2008 to 2013, something like that, they have like oil reserves. Like they have oil reserves that people had just found out about around that time. And being as though Ukraine was separate from Russia, what Russia tried to do was invade the islands around Ukraine. Mm-hmm. So, which they ended up doing, and they ended up obtaining. And now he's trying to obtain all of Ukraine. I don't know where the oil reserves stand now, but it was so much so, like it was so significant to Russia to obtain this country for their oil at that time, because of like, I think it took up maybe on the scale, I think in a range of like everyone that has like oil reserves in the world, I think that spot within Ukraine had like top 14 in the world. So that's whether people want to choose to see it or not, like that's a significant number, right? If Russia decides to take that and take ownership of that oil and stuff, they'll like you were saying about like our oil prices and stuff going up. Old girl said in the video, talk about, yeah, we owe all this money, we need oil too and everything like that. All right, cool. Yeah, go ahead and send me that check, or go ahead and send me that receipt. I'll go ahead and pay it in cash. That's basically what's going to end up happening. I'm still kind of doing my research about it to try to figure it out, like where we are today as far as like their reasoning why, but I know that's some of the history from it. It's super unfortunate, man. I seen some videos from people that are interviewing other people in Russia, and people are like clueless as to what's going on. They was like, oh, we didn't even know Russia was
blocked.
invading Ukraine.
Yeah.
So they're putting blocks on media and stuff over there where people don't even know. And for the people that do know, they're either choosing not to say anything out of fear. Like one dude actually said, like, yeah, I'm choosing not to comment because it's not safe. Like,
they will kill him.
It's not safe for me to comment on this joint.
Absolutely. Wow. They will kill him.
And some people are like all for it, like, and it's scary because it looked like a Hail Hitler type situation. Like it's looking real crazy over there. So the fact that and I'm trying to wrap this up. So as far as NATO and how Ukraine relates to them, Ukraine has been trying to be a part of NATO for years, but they haven't been able to, I guess, either buy in because, like, in order to be a part of a club or something, you got to pay memberships, right?
That's exactly what.
So membership fees.
I don't.
So I don't think Ukraine is able to, or at least not yet, able to apply in a way of like being a part of NATO.
Mm-hmm. And they would have been, Mike, if had Russia not taken that territory, that's why he did what he did. They would have been able to afford to, and when he took that territory, they can no longer afford to be part of the UN. And so he wants help. The president of Ukraine wants help.
Right, he wants help, and we're trying. NATO is trying to help as much as they can, according to their laws. Like they're not officially a part of NATO, but they are partners with them. So
they're not in the game.
So
they're not in the game. I can't send my boys to help you out because you're not. I can give you some money, but you're not really.
You're not all the way in there. You feel?
You're already in.
So get jumped in. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So I could block Russia from selling on my block, so they won't get no money.
That's exactly what they did. Facts,
at the end of the day, I can't send my boys over there to help you out.
All right, Mike. The breakdown is real right there, Mike. I love it. You
on your own, like.
Yo, so to go into our topic today, and I appreciate that conversation about the war in Russia. I wanted to go into our topic today, and I wanted to use this video to help be the launching pad for that particular conversation. As you know, if you checked out our episode from previous, the last one was really, really dope, where we had great conversation about toxic masculinity, about being a father, being a husband, dealing with loss as it pertains to trying to have kids. Everything was exposed, and I love the level of transparency that took place on last week's episode. So if you have not done so already, please go back and check that one out because it'll give you some context to where we are right now. But going forward, there's a clip that kind of will help launch us into this conversation about kids. Here we go.
I think that I've watched too many times where things like that happen and a woman or somebody's not believed, and then things escalate. Yeah. He is stalking her. You could think it's cute. If it was my daughter, I'd do something about it. I don't think it's funny. I think that you can't write a beat so good that you get to do these things. And society laughs it off because they say, well, she showed her ass all the time, and he's this, and he's that, and that. At a certain point, it is not unusual for men like that. The difference between him and a restraining order is about 20 hits and a couple of $100 million. I just don't think it's funny. I think that Kanye wouldn't get no pussy at all if he didn't write no hits. You know that. Like he's not the kind of dude. You don't like he counts on the shit that this mystique. Right. And in the end, she got just as much bread as she did. Yeah. And why talk to him? Pete Davidson is a scribe. Like I don't get what the point is for threatening him. Like if you threatening the dude that's fucking your woman, all they gonna do is fuck her harder.
not to even I didn't even hear that part. But he's just gonna hit her harder. That is probably the definition of I see no lie there. Like I see no lies there. But DL Hughley's perspective was very good because I think we've kind of joked about the Kanye and Kim Kardashian thing. And I think what he is saying that has some sense of validity to it is that we do laugh it off, and not to make this at all about Kim or Kanye. We're going to bring it home to where we are right here as a community, right? Gotcha. In a sense that if this happened to your child, if your daughter and your future kids or daughter Mike gets married, obviously grows up, gets married, and the husband is for whatever reason not, they don't work out, and then he's just constantly coming after your daughter the way that Kanye's coming after Kim Kardashian, or even from myself, I got 2 daughters, so I got to pull up and get my straps and let's go. Right, we going to war. You talking about war? We going to war, right?
Mm-hmm.
So there's a sense, there's a sense of this creepiness that we've kind of let become legitimate, and to kind of bring it home to us as here on the Relentlessly Real podcast, what would you do, right, if your child ends up? Do you get into those conversations with your child, or do you like stand up for your child if your child is being abused? If she's being stalked, or if she like any of those things, like, do you feel like as a father, after you've given that child away to this husband that you now have entrusted her to, do you then step in again as dad and say, no, you're not going to do this to my daughter?
Absolutely. Like that's still my daughter at the end of the day, right? So yes, from a giving away standpoint, hey, I give my daughter away for you to be able to to marry and to lead and to do all these things. And even when it comes down to the hardships that they deal with, they have to deal with them together, right? And I can't necessarily project my because we could try to think that we'll view everything objectively, but from a lens of a father, like you will still see that as your daughter and want to take up for her.
Sure.
But when it comes down to like protection of life, like us as men, like we are built and we are built like throughout society, we are built to be protectors, right? And that's an innate thing that's in us to be protectors. And if anything that I'm going to protect, it's like a spawn of mine. You know what I'm saying? It's going to be my family. Like I'm going to protect that thing no matter what situation you're in, no matter if I've like given you away to your husband or whatever like that. Like I'm still your dad, and I'm still going to do what I got to do to make sure that you stay alive, that you stay safe, and that you feel safe when he does not like confirm that in her, when he doesn't reassure that she's going to be safe.
Interesting perspective. What do you think, Terrence?
I mean, yeah, I agree. I mean, I feel like, like how the Bible talks about, therefore a husband and wife will cling to each other and they will leave whatever it is. They're like their prospective parent. Yeah. So, and the idea is that, but officially she's divorced, right? According to the courts, as of this week. So she's officially single or whatever it was, and the part where I think I should involve my discussion and my guidance is while they were dating and while they're seeing each other, and hoping I'm imparting my wisdom, because there's something about this is not right even going into it. But when you made this choice, now I got to protect my daughter. Don't get me wrong, but that's the frustrating part, is because if I've told you and I saw this coming and I have the foresight where I can see it, and I told you who this person was and you didn't listen, it's like now I got to throw away the I told you moment to come save you. Like I told you, but you didn't want to listen, And so, but at the end of the day, that's my child. I got to protect my child, and you ain't my child. You just some dude that married my child, and so I feel like at that point protectionism will kick in immediately, and be like, and I'm actually worried about those, because like I know how I can get. Like at those point, laws and rules and regulations go out the window, right. And I guess that's what I'm worried about.
My thought with that is, when you're talking about him being a creeper and kind of just like doing what he literally is airing her out on social media, like literally like putting up their business on social media, and it's going viral. This is Kanye, just to reset the conversation. This is Kanye West. We're talking about with Kim Kardashian. And he'll literally like post stuff or whatever, and then like put it on social media for some sense of viral nature or whatever. And we've excused it. Like literally, we've all like let it go and let it be. We understand it. I think there's a certain level of understanding around Kanye-isms, if you will, like the idea that he just is not all here since mom rolled. Like since mom went to heaven, he ain't been all here since then, or wherever she went. He ain't been there since then. So with that mindset in mind, actually, side note, caveat, that documentary is really good that he has on Netflix as well. I started checking that out. Yeah, Genius. Yeah, John is really good. But my point in saying that is that I think we have to, bring into question, I guess, how soon do we as fathers get involved in our daughter's stuff, right? Like, is it at that point where he becomes like kind of stalkerish? Or do we kind of let that play out? Because that's not really violence towards my child. It's kind of like mental violence, right? But it's not literally harm as far as, I'm going to like I gotta protect my daughter to this extent of like, let me bring her back home type stuff, right? Like, or insert myself. When you've given your child away, you've given them away, right? I mean, I think that's the thing that comes up in marriage anyway. Like when you're trying to understand the boundaries that exist as a married couple, and now your parents, they don't have the say so that they used to have. They may want to, but the reality is about how you were raised, not about reinserting your dad into that space where he already gave you away, right?
Yeah. So I get what you're saying as far as like respect to boundaries, and there is a time and place for everything. Like you can't just assert yourself into that relationship once you have given your daughter away.
Yeah.
At the same time, I would still check in and be like, hey, do you need anything? Like, hey, are you, I know you're not good. Like, this is not a good situation, but are you good mentally? Are you like, where are you at? And how can I help? But not in the sense of like asserting, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to take you away from this situation because I want to protect you, and like going off of that innate like mindset of just being able to protect. Yeah, there's a tact way of going about it. But I still, like, goes back to what I said. Like, I still have a right to protect my daughter, especially when she feels like physically unsafe. You know what I'm saying? Like if the dude is like banging on her house door aggressively, like, hey, let me in, this, that, and the third. Like, yes, I'll call the authorities, but I'm going to show up too. Right? Yeah, I'm on the way right now. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So
yeah. Terrence, you have anything on that before I go?
No, I disagree. I'm always like the educated me is I'm always about giving guidance during the dating stage and giving guidance and I even see Steven like Seth's post. Kanye, like, we've seen regular couples do the same thing where a guy just can't let go or a girl just can't let go.
Sure.
And they start blasting things on social media. It's no different.
No.
Like, it's legitimately, like, I actually don't think this is the best out of everything he's done.
Yeah.
It is toxic. Everything he's done, like, is no different than what we've seen a regular person do. So I've seen him do more crazy stuff than this, in my personal opinion.
Yeah.
I knew he was crazy a long time ago. This is actually, I'm not saying it's normal, but a lot of people do this. He just has more access to money and more access to fans and more access to social media. So when he does it, everybody sees it.
Yeah.
And so that's what makes it kind of like worse. But my thing again is he's been like this for years. And so it's almost one of the things where there was parts where as a father, I would have stepped in much earlier than before you all broke up. Like, wait a minute, he's doing this right now to this, I don't think this is the right guy. Like for him to come on national TV and say the president doesn't care about black people, and like that was years ago when you guys weren't even an item. Looking at that guy, like, I don't think he's wrapped too tight. Might not want to tug on this one. Like, so it's things you gotta watch, like, and so I just feel it's because now you gotta work harder to untether that.
So I love what you're saying, Terrence, and I almost wonder, it made me think as you were talking, I was thinking about their upbringing, because obviously their father died when they were young, and then they remarried, and then married what's his name? I forget his name, the transgender woman, Bruce, but he's Caitlin. Now transgender, Caitlin, right? So I wonder, I wonder if how much of that comes into play, though, like, in all honesty and all truthfulness. When you're talking about fatherhood and him trying to figure out his identity, or now her identity as Caitlin, how much of him not being a father to those girls impacted their dating relationships? All their relationships have been a lot like tumultuous. I think that's the word. It's turmoil all over the place, like, legitimately, right? And I think it's not hyperbole to say that. So I wonder, not to highlight them in a negative light, but it kind of makes me think, like, as you were talking, I was like, I wonder the impact of if he were able to have had some sense of identity and knowing himself, right, as he was coming up, how would that have impacted their dating life and forming that out for them as people that were dating and everything like that? Would he be able to be more impressionable on them as a father figure for them, so that they could be able to date? Because they say you date your father, or you date your moms in a sense of like the traits you see from your mom, you kind of you'll marry that, right, to a certain degree. So I wonder how much that plays into part in this conversation.
Well, I'm curious to that conversation because I like that's why I think it's a good dialogue, even with us, or anybody who's on. Like, how much did your actual dad have on your input as far as when you dated? Did you have to clear things? And for viewers who don't know, I'm always curious about this lens base because I didn't have that, and so and it's so funny. I'm more appreciative of my stepfather right now. But I used to always in a sense bash him or whatever it is, the whole thing. You're not my dad, blah 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 blah, etc.
You said it to him?
Oh yeah, I've said it several times. I've said it to my mom
I would
too.
smacked you into a wall.
Yeah,
I ain't gonna hold you.
Listen, I was all
these
that.
Bill's mother.
And that's the thing. I didn't see that. I'm like, well, my mom does everything. I didn't see any of that. I was like, my mom does everything. You're not and then as I got older, I realized that was. At least he was at least present. He was at least present.
I would have pressed you out, T. I'm
so
serious.
Listen,
I want you to know that.
I'm real. So
my
I
appreciate out of pride, right? Like, would your pride would have been hurt after that? Like just saying, yo, you're not my dad. I mean,
that's what I'm saying.
Response is a proper response,
okay, cool. But I'm paying these lights. I'm doing this. I'm picking you up from school. It makes sense. I'm driving you to karate practice. Whatever it is.
You in karate practice?
Yeah. And so it's and the other thing I'm thinking about is I'm thinking my mom. We're going to Disney World once a year. My mom was a teacher, so I'm like, and the whole family is going. So my mom, I'm like, yeah, my mom, she doing all of that, and I'm like, there ain't no way where my mom was doing all that by herself. Somebody's paying half these bills.
Sure.
And so I don't see that till I was older, and I'm realizing yo,
yeah,
you know what I'm saying. But as far as talks, I didn't have anybody to
talk to you.
And now as I get older, why would he? I've excluded him.
So I got a bunch of questions from that particular thing. First of all, I want to say I'm so tired of Terrence. He's had a full life, guys. I don't know. He's lived at least 14 times before he became an adult. He's had karate.
20 different jobs.
Yeah, he's worked in movie theaters, fast food restaurants. He's had 19 cars. I'm over him. So one thing that I wanted to think about, I mean, as you're talking, I'm like, because I look at you, and I'm gonna be honest with you, I look at you as a good dad, right? I think you're a good dad. I think you're an active father in your kid's life. I think you love your kids. How do you even know that? How did you even know how to be a good dad without a dad as present? I mean, unless you're saying your dad was present and the stepdad was present, and you are gleaming from him, how do you even know how to be a dad?
Because I did the opposite.
That was your way of being a dad.
That was the opposite. That was the opposite. It's literally it's when I say it has guided me, and I'm not saying I'm perfect. I don't think I'm but I'm very strong in my mindset that I think I am a great dad. And so I often get really infuriated and really ready to throw hands when somebody counters that statement. And so it's almost the one thing about myself that I will defend to the death of me. Make sense? And so but it is because I did the opposite. As much as my dad was not there, I got to show up. I got to show up. I got to be present. So even if I don't feel like doing something, and I told my kids I would, I'm gonna do it. But just because I don't even want that to even because I've had several broken promises. Yeah, I'm gonna come pick you guys up for the weekend, and I don't see you.
Yeah.
Or I'm gonna do this, and I don't see you. Makes sense. And so it's just I'm the opposite. So I got to find the ways to make myself extremely present and extremely to almost counter it. And so, 100%. And the other thing is, I'm not even going to lie. And we've had this talk before, but I think it's good for this question. I actually have leaned in to you all, to you two, and leaned into other people. And it's almost even with a certain realm of jealousy. So there'll be moments when I've I've seen Mike when he posted something that he went to. I think you did go. This I know for a fact. You went paintball shooting and your dad was there, something like that. And it was and I'm just I don't have that. That makes sense. And then I remember sitting at John's house plenty of time. We first did the podcast was at John's dad's house, and I'm seeing a dialogue talk about politics, talk about this, talk about that, talk about that, and it's I remember I'll never forget. As a grown man. I remember I cried so hard going home in the car, tears, because I'm I never had that. And that was the first time as an adult I realized, I missed out on something so valuable that I don't have. And so my ultimate goal right now with my son is, and this may be really like too far, but I'm like, I want my son's first drink to be with me. I want to pour him his first drink. Makes sense. I want to take my son.
Not today, because he's
not
like,
today.
okay,
When,
yeah.
Makes sense.
Yeah,
but I want to take him to the gun range, like
I hear his son coming down the steps right now,
like Dad, like what?
I'm ready, Dad. I'm ready. You're 10, sir.
Yeah, so just like all of that stuff, like I want, like makes sense. I want to like, so yeah. So sometimes I take him to the movies, just me and him.
Yeah,
London, like, can I go? No, you can't go because this is, you know what I'm saying. So that's how I learned. I leaned into
that
like
time is important. Yeah,
it's important.
I love that you said that, T. There's so much that you don't think about. I mean, I don't think about as someone that has had the privilege of having a dad in my life, right? Like you don't think about the deficit of it. You think about, you're just glad to have it, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And so I never, obviously, guys, and this is literally the first time I've ever heard that story of him leaving my house or whatever and going and having to have. And an emotional experience. This is what we experience as people. It's like the deficits of things that we don't have in our lives. You feel those things. You're like, when you see, and I know I can get it because like I've been with T been in my house and I'm talking to my dad about thousands of different things or joking about on my dad and laughing at him, clowning him, and that kind of camaraderie. You're like looking at that like, man, that seems attractive, right? And so it makes me kind of call into question what how to be a dad, right? I mean, I really listen. This is something that I want to harper on, and not just because I have kids. I think it's a good question to have. Period. How do you know how to be a good dad, or what would you grade yourself as a parent or a potential parent? Like if you're as a dad right now, what would you grade yourself as a dad right now, T? And then what would you grade yourself, Mike, as a potential parent? How do you feel? Where is your mental at right now as far as what you think you'll be able to be as far as a father?
Shoot, man. So just to double back before I answer that question, T, I appreciate you for sharing that too, bro. Like again, like John said, like I would have never thought you thought like that, or like those aren't the thoughts that like come to mind after we've had such a great time, whether our fathers are present or whatever like that, and you being in that same space and then to turn around and like feel those emotions too, man. So I appreciate you for sharing it, and that's something that we won't forget, like as brothers, right? We won't forget those moments. And I want to ask is, at some point in time, like, is there something that we can do to better that, or is it just something that you got to work through on your own, right? Because I mean, it's not something that we intentionally did to you as far as like our relationships with our fathers, but like I guess I always lean towards like, is there a way that we can try to help you in that area, if that makes sense?
No, so I think it's one of those things where like all things work good for those who are called according to God's promise. Makes sense. Like he didn't. It's not something that I don't think. That's why I get so frustrated when I hear parents or hear women or even men, but especially women, that say, I can just do this on my own. I can just do this on my own. And as an educator, you don't understand the impact. And it's not even about having two parents in the household. That's not what it's about. It's about having two active parents, period. It's not meant to be done on its own. Can it be done? Sure. Can you have a good story? Sure. Like, am I better because of it? Absolutely. I'm better because I didn't have it. Makes sense? And so, and even in me complaining, it made me dial back like, T, like, time out. You at least had somebody in the home. Like, makes sense? Like, you, like, who could pick up the slack so that your mother wasn't drained for the things that she did. So, like, stop it. Makes sense? But again, there is a difference when having two active parents. And so seeing it makes it, like seeing it with John and seeing it with Mike, and actually even seeing it with Tanisha, like seeing a dad like in the house play that role or whatever it is, it's literally making me a better dad, because I'm realizing the power of that narrative that I have. And I don't want to break that narrative. Like, it's very difficult to break that narrative. Makes it so there's almost like a force of follow through where whatever I want is second. And so, like, going back to the question, how do I know I'm a great like parent? I'm still giving myself a B. I'll give myself an A, maybe a B plus, whatever it is, because I make sure I take trips. Like, I make sure I take vacations. I make sure I find a happy hour to go to. I make sure I go out. But I navigate it. Like, I got to say, okay, well, I went here in May. So I got to take my kids someplace. Mm-hmm. Like, they need a vacation too. They need a break too. It can't be I just drop them off at my mom's house and I go on this trip. Like, and so it's just like, you got to plan stuff for them. You got to be involved. You got to make sense. I got to find stuff to do. And so far you can look around this room and I got this 77-inch OLED TV that I want to watch my stuff.
Flex. Go ahead.
But my daughter finds her way down the steps. Grabs my rope. Can I watch YouTube? Can I watch YouTube for kids? You got your own TV. Yeah. But I want to watch it with you. And it's like, how do you how?
Yeah. You tell her what? Go upstairs, or you tell her?
You can watch one or two. You can watch one or two. You can't watch. You can watch 1 or 2. Then I gotta go back. Like, makes sense. It's like I won't watch, but how do you say no to that? Like,
Yeah.
I got you. Yeah. So going back to your question, John, as far as like, how do we know? Like, how do we grade ourselves?
Yeah.
As potential parents, I would say like between a 6 and a 7. And the reason why I say that is because like I don't have kids of my own, right? So there's always going to be a level of growth there. Yeah. But I'm not going to negate the fact that I haven't been able to like flex those, I guess, dad muscles, if that makes sense, when it comes to the idea of like provision. And hear me out when I say this. So I was recently listening to a sermon, I think it was from Steve Furtick, and he was mentioning like a story from 1 Samuel was about like how people in that time they didn't have a blacksmith to be able to fight the wars that they needed to fight. So they didn't have weapons, but they did have some form of weapon, right? But doubling back to the purpose of a blacksmith, the purpose of a blacksmith is being able to provide weapons to those that need them to be able to fight the battles that they need to fight. And me personally, I consider myself as that with anybody that I interact with. Like if I see somebody going through something, whether it's a word of encouragement or whether it's like my own 2 hands, like I want to be able to like chip in and provide what you need to be able to get through whatever this moment is. And I think I guess like identifying as that, it puts me in the right mindset to ensure that I'm going to be there for my kids in that manner. Like I'm going to be able to provide them with whatever they need to be able to, like, I'm going to do my best to provide them with whatever they need in this life to be able to tackle this life with all that life throws at us sometimes. I might not always have it, but I can at least try to point you in the right direction. And those are things that I know that my dad did for me, right? So that kind of doubles back to like the importance of having a dad in your life, or at least having somebody in your life to be able to do that. I might not be a father like right now, but that's something that I know that I'm continuously working on, and as far as like applying to the other relationships that I have in my life. So
yeah, I think in having kids in general, it's something that you have to kind of, I think, reevaluate daily or weekly or what have you. Like you have to constantly look at. To me, it's a constant molding. Even though I had both my mom and dad in my life, right, growing up. Obviously, you don't take everything that you have parent wise. You don't bring it both into your new formed household with your new wife. You don't bring all that stuff with you that you had from your upbringing, because legitimately everything that you had wasn't necessarily good. Even though you had 2 parents in the house, like, everything is just not good. So like, clearly you have to formulate your own, process. But I think it's good to have an idea of like, well, how am I as a parent? Like, am I responsible? Do I like to spend time? Like, do I like to spend time that I don't necessarily want to spend? Like, do I like sacrificing my time? Because what Terrence is speaking to, his daughter coming down there and saying, let me see that OLED. Like, legitimately is a part of being a parent. Like, are you willing to say, hey, I'm gonna stop watching what I was watching, or stop doing something that I think is good for me, or I'm gonna like allow them to come in my space where I'm working right now. I'm in my basement right now, and they're gonna come down here probably not long from now and be like, yeah, I want to take all this, I want to play with all this, and I want to make a noise. Like, what are you gonna do in those moments as a parent, a potential parent? in those moments. And so one thing that I know I've had to deal with within myself as a father is, and having 2 girls, the emotional level that be in this house. Oh my God. And I'm not even, I'm just not an emotional, I'm not wired that way. I ain't built that way. So the level of, oh my God, daddy, I all I want to do is find my iPad. I can't find it. I don't know where it is. And breaks out into full out tears. And I'm like, it's right there on the bed. It's on the bed. First of all, stop crying. It's on the bed. Like, it's here. But they already like have lost all perspective, or even the idea that, they will want. I'm watching the game the other day and my daughter just wants to sit on my lap and like Terrence is talking about, and literally I'm the sofa. There's a whole sofa here. She's like, nope, I'm going to lay on you. You are now my sofa, in which I will now watch my own iPad and loudly as you try to watch the game. And so all those things kind of happen. You're just like, man, these children. But what I'm trying to learn and navigate through, and I'm glad we're having this conversation, is like, what do I need to lay aside sacrificially to be a better parent for my children? That's to me, that question is asked of myself on a daily basis. Like, what do I have to set aside? Like, do I have to stop doing, I don't know, whatever I'm doing, like whatever I want to do, even whether it be podcasts right now or editing another podcast or pushing a marketing thing. These are things I really want to do, but I can't do because I'll probably have to, hang with the children and play with the kids and watch the kids, give Javita a break, or so, all the different things that kind of intertwine in being a dad. So to answer that question of what would you grade yourself, I would say I'm right there with you, T. I'm like, no higher than a B. I would say I would think sometimes like a B- because I'm like, I am not willing to. I'd be like, I don't want to have to do this. I don't want you to lay on me. I don't. If I'm being 100% honest, bro, I'd rather you just lay next to me and not on me, because I'm not a big on me person. But these children be like, that's what they need, right? And so what do you do when they need that?
It's even worse. Like, for me, it's even worse when, like, I've made my plans to watch this movie. And I know this movie has cursing, probably like a sex scene, foul language, like all of that. And you come down the steps and you just want to sit and watch. You're like, oh, no, you can watch, but I can't watch this now because you're here.
Right.
So now,
because you're here.
You're here. So now I got to stop what I want to watch for you.
Yeah.
And I don't want to do that. And so it's so funny. That's why I was very clear, and Tanisha was very clear. We were very clear. We're done with 2. We're done.
Oh, yeah.
We're done. Like, and because I'm selfish with time. I'm very selfish with my time. I don't have any more time to give. So let alone not adopting, no. We are absolutely 100% positively done.
You're finished. You're not having no more kids.
No, done.
What about you? I mean, how many do you want to have, Mike?
I would rather, I got to think about even numbers. So I would rather have 2.
Yeah.
If I get, blessed with more, cool. And it's a lot of that is because of like my perspective now, right? Because we've been trying for so long, I'm like, yo, if I get 1, I'm cool. But if I had a preference, it'd be 2. If you give me 3, I'm not going to be blown about it because this is what I asked for. Like, you asked for kids, all right, we're going to give you kids. You know what I'm saying? And
give me 3, I'll be devastated.
Like, God,
somebody's going to die. You give me 3, somebody's going to die.
But no, in relation to that though, like as far as like selfish with time, I know that I'm like that too. And that right now scares the crap out of me because I'm like, yo, there's time that I'm going to have to give up. When those kids get here. And like I even question like and this is how the enemy tries to like sink in your mind, man, to call you away from the things that God promised you, right? I use that as a sense of like canceling myself out. Oh, because I'm so selfish, maybe that's why God doesn't want me to have kids right now. In a sense of like ever. Like I will forever be selfish, you know what I'm saying, in this area. And I can't seem to adapt because I know how I struggle with adapting with my like sacrificing my time now.
Yeah.
But I refuse to accept that because I trust that he's going to give me whatever I need when that time comes. When kids do come, I'll be prepared for that.
Let me tell you something. You
So,
are not selfish.
yeah.
You will find new depths of selfishness. No matter how selfish you are right now, you will find new layers of selfishness. I mean, seriously, it's not even about you as a personality not being selfish. It's literally like don't think God didn't answer your prayers because of your lack of selfishness. There are plenty of people that are fully selfish that have 45, 7, 10 different kids. Like that's just that's just not a qualifier. One other question I want to ask before we hop off is this. It's more of a true or false question. The role of motherhood always supersedes the role of wife, but the role of fathers never supersedes the role of husband. Is this a true or false statement? The role of motherhood always supersedes the role of wife, but the role of father never supersedes the role of husband. True or false?
Broad strokes. I'm gonna take a page because I know James is only out of James' book. I actually used to think that was like always true. I think it's situational.
Okay.
I think it would depend on. I think it's also generational. I think 50, 60, 40 years ago, where a lot of women did not work outside the home, that they took on a lot of roles. I actually was just talking about this the other day, even with my therapist. Like the role of a woman has changed almost drastically, while the role of a man has not changed, and it is changing, but it's more of a slow moving change. And so, guys are still expected to be breadwinners or whatever it is, but they're no longer expected to be the primary breadwinner. But I can't come into the table with no bread at all. Does that kind of make sense? Like I can't have nothing. I think more and more the society man is not expecting to have it all, and so his role is changing slowly. A woman's role has changed dramatically. So a woman wears multiple hats. And so before I even come home, my wife works from home. Before I even come home, she's already been the wife. She's already had the role of employee. She's had the role of manager because she's a leader in her job. She's had the role of homemaker because she works from home. So the house, she wants to clean up a little bit. The kids get off from work. She has the role of mother. And she also, and then if I don't cook, she cooks. So she's had 5 roles before I even walk in the house.
Okay.
And so what I'm starting to realize is my expectation is that might change, have to change a little bit, And so as before where I'm just like, you don't do this wife thing well. You don't do this role of wife very well. Right now, the role of mother is more important. My mind is evolving that it's not just that role, it's all the other roles that have kind of taken place. I will say with most men to where I agree with John is saying, I do believe that.
Hold on, John's not saying this. This is just a statement.
Oh, okay? John's statement.
Don't attach me to nothing.
Okay, my bad.
No.
Yeah. Go ahead, T. I'm sorry.
I do think that men will, and I've gone into this. Like the happy wife, happy life has always been like the mentality. My girl is happy. Everything else. I don't care about anything else. So you can say wife, girl, whatever relationship you have. So it'd be FTK real quick for men than it does for women. It'd be FTK off the top. Like
what is FTK?
I can't say it. F these kids.
F. What's? Oh, I'm like, what? Okay. I'm like, what's the K?
Oh, yeah.
I got the first.
If you see me with the tattoo, that's what it means.
FTK.
F these kids.
I like that.
So like
F these
for us,
knees?
like literally, if I have to choose between like if the house is everything's going in shambles and the kids not acting right and the kids aren't ruly and whatever it is, and it's upsetting, the wife upsetting the girl, whatever it is, y'all gotta go. I don't know where you're gonna go. Y'all gotta get up out of here. And women be like, really?
Yeah.
You gonna kick out your flesh and blood? Yes.
Yeah.
They gotta go.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. I don't like them that much. Like, so it's just, I think we do that really easily. And is that because we didn't carry them? I don't know. Like, we
will never know.
I will never know. We didn't birth them. I would say that I just, I can't say I don't care to know, but I don't really care to know.
Yeah.
Like, I don't. That's rude,
so to answer the question, like true or false, yes, it's true. But I guess I don't believe it has to be. I think it is true because of societal norms, because of capitalism, because of just like you said, generational, like things that have been learned from generation to generation, right? And it just kind of trickled down. Even when it comes down to like the prison system and the way that's set up, as far as like how black men were predominantly in the prison system versus like being in the home with a family type thing. I don't know what the statistics are now, but it's been like that for years, right? But I don't necessarily think it has to be that way. In order for us to like I feel like life comes with a balance, and it's always going to constantly be a balance act, and it's situational. So yeah, the role of motherhood like will always supersede a wife in a certain situation, and vice versa with like father superseding as a husband. It's situational, and it can be both flipped. In my opinion, I feel like it can be that way. It's just not that way.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. I think at the end of the day, when it comes to this particular conversation, there's nothing that I think when it comes to marriage, there's nothing that I see more frequently than wives making their kids more important than their spouses.
Yeah,
there's nothing that I see more frequently.
I agree.
And it doesn't matter really necessarily how that all plays out. If there's an undertone or undercurrent of that constantly being the narrative, that can be problematic for sure.
Very problematic.
You know, and so with to Terrence's point, you know, I am of the same, you know, I think the same as far as like kids. Yeah, I bump those kids. Those kids gonna be gone. They're leaving. They get older. They like literally they drain you of everything, your energy, your money, all of your willpower to like live. Like you just be like, yo, you take everything. They drain you. And I love them. Like true. The thing about people with the act, because I say something like things like this, is because everybody else says, oh, it's beautiful, oh, it's awesome, oh, it's amazing, and there's no counter narrative to it. It is all those things, but it's also draining, hard, terrifying, like work that you do day in and day out. And then they literally grow up, they take all your resources, all your food, all your money, all your time, all your energy, and they grow up, they go to college, they leave, and you're left with whatever's left. And if you haven't been nurturing that plant, that flower, that marriage, that whatever's left is going to be whatever's left. And so Jovita and I've always had the conversation about, making sure, hey, you need to make this. Jon is here, up here. And if you're listening to this podcast, I'm the top thing that matters in this house. Now that may be what I set as a rule, but is that what actually plays out? If anyone being married, they know you can set a rule, but then they can ignore the rule, or they can, they could be adhering to the rule. But the reality is like, man, if that's not your actual concentration, it can be problematic.
It's dangerous.
Not just now, but like later. Not just now, but later. Go ahead. Sorry.
No, I was saying, like, in all seriousness, I want people to understand. Like again, one thing I like about our podcast is because this is not a Christian podcast, but it's a podcast of men who happen to be Christian, and that's a whole different narrative. It's like people need to understand. It's just. It lives and breathes in some things that at least I hope that we think or say, whatever it is, like makes it. And so it is biblically dangerous if you're a believer, because God is very clear, and we try to like invent some things and try to add things. He's like very clear. They cling to each other. Nothing is more important than husband and wife. And what's so funny is like I used to get mad over like in my mom. So you're gonna pick this step guy over me, and I'm your own son? Yes. She should. That's her husband.
Right.
And as I'm older, I understand it. Like, yes, she should. That's her husband. How come he gets his plate before you? He should. Yeah. That's her husband. You're not her husband. You're her child. Right. And so as I'm looking at my mom narrowed that thing down to a T. Like even like next week, I'm going to Los Angeles, right? Next week, and so my mom, that's not a flex. I'm going to visit my
OLED, Los Angeles. Go ahead, bro. Do your thing.
I'm going to visit my uncle, like my mom's brother, right? And who I'm going to visit my mom's brother, and my mom's like, yeah, I'm gonna get up there and go see him. So in my mind, when she said that, I'm thinking she might go by herself. Okay, cool, mom, I'm gonna go. And so like a few weeks later, she's like, yeah, me and James are going. I'm like, wait, why is my stepfather going? that's not his brother. like that's my uncle.
He's
right?
going to LA.
Yeah. She's like, yeah, I'm going to LA with my husband.
Yeah.
You can go. Where you going to stay? I'm like,
yeah, because you ain't staying
my
here.
mom was like, okay, cool. You know what? That's fine. And I'm realizing like that's legitimately how it should be.
Yeah.
And so when it's extremely dangerous for you as a spouse, and I'm saying it like to Mike as he embarks upon, because I know it's going to happen, whatever it is. Yo, if you're not putting your spouse first, if them kids are coming before your spouse, it is going to tank that relationship.
Yeah.
And it is going to take it to a point where it wouldn't have tanked it if there was no kids. And so, like it's just like that's the only thing I can say. And I get that women have a different bond because they birthed it. And I get it. I 100% get it. I'm just telling you, and just there are parts of a lot of men who feel like once my wife had a baby, I became second. And it is not a good feeling to feel second to somebody who you think and you believe is first, but you are their second.
Right.
It's just not a good feeling, you know. And so, and it creates a very dangerous ground for, you know, things to seep in that shouldn't seep in if you just keep your partner first. So the kids come second, you come first. Really, well, God, spouse, kids. But I even venture to, like, even when I say that, I have a question mark, because that's why Paul was talking so much. I wish you could be like me, because for me, God is enough. I'm happy with just God. Like, I'm literally happy with just pleasing God. I can't be married because God is enough. To be a spouse, it's like literally God is saying, I'm loving you as Christ loved the church. I'm loving you like the way that God loved the church. So in some regard, it's not that I'm putting my spouse before God, but God's like, yo, I don't want you to pray to me right now. You ain't putting no time in with your wife. Get off the floor and go chill with your wife. And like, yo, God be saying that. Like, so it's just like I understand he's first and trying to be deep, but legitimately, the best way you can show that you love God is by loving your partner, like drastically and like fanatically, and more than the kids, like legitimately, like he has to come first. And so a lot of times we don't do that right. Man. We don't do that right. Like, you know, and then what happens is because we don't do that right, also your witness is now lost. It's your witness dramatically is lost at that point, because how am I supposed to love you as God loves the church, yet I'm not loving you, but yet I go out in the world and love these students, yet I go out in the world and love these coworkers, yet I go out in the world and I love these kids, but I'm supposed to be a believer, right? So my witness of how much I really love you is at that point lost. So if your spouse can't find God, it's because they don't even see the God in you. Like, you're not loving that person. And so it's so much of a witness of why he wrote that text just like that. And we just zoom past it. We just fly on past it like it's not important. Like, I don't know. That's just my energy towards that.
Sheesh, that's really good perspective, man. I appreciate you for breaking that down like that. Because I'm not even front. When you first started off, talk about, you know, I think you were saying something like, God wants you to like not pray to me right now. I want you to go love your wife. And like I immediately like I guess cringed for a second, because it was like, you know, we're always taught to like put God first and then wife second. Like she comes immediately after that. But there are like to view it from a perspective of like, hey, the best way to be able to like, I guess, to show that you love God is by honoring your wife and loving your wife, right? And it also reminded me of like how we, like, say if we go out into the workplace, we are a reflection of our household. So how we like manage our environment at work, how we manage our emotions, how we communicate, things like that. That's a reflection of what's happening at home. So it shouldn't be the other way around. Like I shouldn't be going to work and doing all these different things, but then my home life is trash. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, I appreciate you for saying that, man. That perspective is really good.
Absolutely. Yeah, I agree with everything that was stated. I think it's a conscious thing that has to be at the forefront of our minds. I think it's interesting because I think sometimes, even as Terrence was talking, I was like, you know, if I were to put my kids in the slot where my wife is supposed to be, that would be an egregious act. You know, if I were like, oh, the kids matter more to me. Where my daughter's at. And I'm not looking for my wife. And I'm like, oh, but my daughters, where's Jocelyn? Where's Jordan? If I'm always about them and never like looking for my own wife, how weird would that be? Right. Like I'd be like, yo, why are you so why you I think most of y'all be like, why he care about his kids so much? That's weird. Like where's why he don't care about his wife at all, you know? And I think that is a weird narrative if a husband does that, but if a wife does that, it's normalized because culture's normalized it. That says, oh, they're just being a mom, they're just being a mother, they're just taking care of the kids, you know. So we got to be careful the craftiness of the world that has like said, yo, this is acceptable. This is an acceptable way to be and live. The world kind of makes you feel some sense of comfort in it because you're just being a mom, you're just being a mother. You know, it's such a conniving thing that we don't really think about, right? That literally seeps in that we don't even. It's just normal. It's just every day, right? Like if you're being a mom to these kids, if you're breastfeeding these kids, if you're playing with these kids, then you're just being a mom. But if you're like, taking care of your husband ahead of those kids, it's not seen as the same way or the same narrative. Alicia says, I think women have to be all things for that baby at first, so disconnecting is hard. And so no. There is absolutely a season where that happens, and that's for sure the case. Which you have to be careful as women and as husbands or whoever is that season doesn't become life. That has to be the carefulness of it, because them kids don't need to be like that when they're 5 and they're 4 and they're 7. That's just they are old enough to start feeding themselves and take care of themselves.
It's so dope because I lived through movies. I don't know if you guys have ever seen Jungle Fever before. Old movie, Wesley Snipes.
No.
I've seen it before. It's been a while, but
it's such a good movie. So this dude is old. Funny thing is, Samuel L. Jackson was in this movie, and most people don't know that. Like his bio is ridiculous. But there's a scene. Samuel L. Jackson played this guy who's addicted to crack. He's addicted to drugs, and I think he was Wesley Snipes' brother. So Wesley Snipes was the good brother, and Samuel Jackson was the bad brother because he was strung out on drugs. He would steal stuff or whatever, right? And so the mom in that movie could not detach from her caring for his son. And so she kept doing things for the son, right? And the dad finally stepped in and he said, no, we're not giving him another thing. I don't want him in my house anymore. He's going to sell our TV. She's just like, Dad, shut it down. So the mom kind of invited him back in. And in that scene, like the mom, like he started like trying to get money. I know you got the money here. It's someplace. Give me this money. He's calling his mom a B. She's praying. So dad walks in and sees it. He's like, I'm so tired of this. So he goes in the back. He gets a gun and he shoots his son. And I remember whoa. He kills the son.
Okay.
And the point I realized is the foresight of the dad to realize this is not going to end well, and my son is dragging us down. He's a detriment. It's not healthy. It's actually the worst kind of nurturing you could do because you cannot detach from caring for him to the point that he needs. He's a grown man. He's 40-something years old. Let him have the streets. As for me and my wife, he's not going to harm you. At the point that he was about to harm his wife, he made the decision: you got to die before my wife is harmed. And it's that gut-wrenching decision that she has to be first. And so it's like, and I'm not saying it's like to that level, but it's the idea of what you're presenting is that, you come before the kids. And so if somebody breaks in, God breaks in the house and there's a robber or whatever it is, and we all adults or whatever it is, and this child can fit for himself, I got to grab my girl or my wife first. Get them out. And then I see about my kids who's 25, 30 years, they can fend for themselves. I ain't going after my kids.
What's funny is like when we were like having this conversation, I thought about a scenario like that. Like you see in movies sometimes where like, something's happening around you, you got like a family or whatever, and the husband is like checking on the wife, yo, you good? And all she screams out is like, the kids. So it's like,
who you choose?
Yeah, like
between if you had to choose between the kids and your wife, Terrence, your house is on fire. You gotta either get your wife or you get your kids, or who you choosing?
Well, see, they can't fend for themselves yet.
I'm just asking with your example, who are you choosing?
I think there's circumstances if they can't fend for themselves, like, you know, and I'm trusting that this other grown adult can fend for herself.
I'm talking about today. I literally said, if your house is on
That's what I'm
fire
saying.
right
Today,
now,
my kids can't fend for
so
themselves.
you're grabbing your kids. I just need you to answer the question, because that's all I want you to do is answer
That's
the question.
tricky, man.
Not tricky. You just said they can't fend for themselves. So go get them.
So
Tanisha,
what I'm thinking
it was
about
really
is
nice
like,
knowing you. Go ahead, Mike.
basically,
You ain't. Who you getting, John? Who you getting?
All right, Jocelyn, where's she at? No, I'm just kidding.
So wait a minute. So what about Jordan?
I said, you said who am I getting?
The baby is the baby is dead. Like Jocelyn is 5. She's almost 5. She can walk by herself. She can get down the steps. You gonna leave the toddler?
Terrence, don't unravel my point. Go ahead, Mike. What would you say?
He just crapped all over your statement right now. But
right.
I was saying, like, when to T's point, like, if she's physically able, either come with me or we gotta split up, right? Like, if we got 2 different kids or whatever, okay, come with me. If you gotta get valuables or you're not in a position where you can, like, physically carry a kid or something like that, then I'm at least put you in a position to be like, all right, cool. This burning piece of wood is off of you. Okay, can you hobble? Can you do something? Yeah. Make it to the door. I'll come back and check on you once I get the kids. Like, when you think about stuff like that in the middle of a fire, like, you can only do your best, man. You can only do your best. So I'm, If I had a choice between one or the other, I would at least try to make sure, like, she's in a position where she could walk on her own and get out on her own and then go get the kids.
You grab London and I'll pick up London, and so you pick up TJ pick up London, and I'll pick up all of you all, and we're gonna make it out of this house somehow.
Yeah, that's cute. In the movies, that never happens. That never happens like that. I know if Javita had to choose, she'd be like, "Where are my kids at? Where's Johnson?"
In a heartbeat.
Like, yo, I am dead. Leave him. He won't make it. Say bye to your dad. We ever say everybody say bye. I'll be short, bro. We love you, Dad. Anyway, but I think the realities are, man, when it comes to just the whole parenting aspect and toxic masculinity was what was the initial topic. And having kids, it's a whole narrative of that we have to really unravel sometimes as being new parents, becoming parents, etc. Man, do you take your parents' advice? Do you not take your parents' advice? Do you do what your wife wants you to do, or do you lead your family as a husband? And do you I don't know, like, do you save your kids, or do you not save your kids? Do you put your spouse first, or do you not put your spouse first? There are so many compounding questions that obviously can't be answered through a one podcast or two even, but these questions are things that we definitely want to leave everyone with, so when you go back into your household, your community, and start to deal with these conversations, like, what are you doing at your house, at your space, within your family? Do you make your husband first? Wife, do you make your husband first? And husband, do you make your wife first? And how does that work within your family structure? And then again, Terrence, what we're talking about, do you let your daughters or your son come into your space and sit with you, lay on you? Do you spend that time with them as a parent? Would you learn from having a stepfather? Jonathan, would you learn from having a dad? What aspects are you gonna do as far as you being a dad, not your dad? Like, it's so, like, this whole 30-something to, like, this 30 to 40-something period of life is trash. Is all you're doing is evaluating, reevaluating, and then reevaluating the evaluations all the time of how you are as a parent. And I think it's awesome that we're having this conversation. I'm glad to have it with you guys. You guys already know what we talk about here is, like, so dope. And I think it's something that nobody really talks about, but conversations that we need to have. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, for sure.
So thank you guys so much for checking out the podcast today. What I will say is that next Saturday, we will not be having, and I will say it again, we will not be having the Relentlessly Real podcast next Saturday. We got a bunch of things we got to take care of, and you already heard Terrence's slight flex that he has to watch his LED or whatever kind of TV he has, and then hop on his plane to go to LA and all that. It's just ridiculous. We've had enough, Terrence. We don't want to hear about your glamorous lifestyle anymore, right? So Terrence has got to go to LA. I got a gig to do in Alexandria. It's just a bunch of stuff going on, and so we're like, man, we got to cancel this episode. We might show an episode from the past We've been doing this now for 3 years, guys. If you believe it or not, we've been doing it for 3 years since 2019. It has blown by. And as Terrence was talking about, we used to do it back in my dad's house. And actually, we have footage, if you go on YouTube, of us doing it in my dad's house. And it's a struggle. We are around a little circle table. We're doing the podcast. We're doing the I forgot who I'm dealing with. We're doing the podcast all around the circular. We're not doing it on the listen, guys.
Around the circular table.
Guys, I'm so sorry that we have 7-year-olds on here all the time. So the realities are we won't have a live one, but we will be maybe re-airing one. And if we don't do that, don't hold us to it, because we're just like, man, we're busy just like you guys are. But at the end of the day, thank you for checking out the Relentlessly Real podcast. Thank you guys for supporting us. All support is we love it. We appreciate each and every person that follows us and supports us or shares it, whatever you do,
and all of that, man.
Yeah, man. Or people be hitting us up and talking to us like, yeah, we saw this, we felt this way about this topic, and it's always good to do that. So soon, we want to let you guys know we will be talking about divorce very, very soon in the very, very near future. We don't know what episode it'll be, but it'll be coming up like within the next couple of episodes or so. So look out for that one, because I think it's vital to talk about the signs of divorce and the things that go on within divorce. We talked about it, I guess, about 2 years ago at this point, but we're going to have new conversations with some different people actually than the first time we talked about it. So we're looking forward to those episodes as well. Anything you guys have, gentlemen?
No, it's been great having this transparent conversation, man. In the midst of learning about each other, as our relationship grows as brothers, people are learning a little bit about us and the realities of, kids and how it affects your relationship with your wife, within marriage, all of that, man. So I just truly appreciate it. I truly appreciate like perspectives from everybody, and just, again, opening up the conversation, because this is the stuff that people don't usually talk about. At least like in my circles, it's not talked about like that, except for this one. And I'm assuming if I'm not talking about it in my circles, then it's not happening in others. For the convo to even come up. So I super appreciate it, man.
Love it. Anything, T?
No, I'm good. It was good.
Yeah, I love it, Mike. I appreciate you saying that too, because that's very valuable information. And I think for even the people that are listening, listen, if people that you know in your circles that don't talk about this stuff, share this podcast episode with them. Like, we're talking about things concerning marriage that we wish we knew before we had kids. I mean, I literally yell at Terrence every time I can about how he had kids before me and didn't tell me anything. And now I'm like mad at him. Like, we actually have an ongoing fight about like, look, I have kids now. You could have told me all this crap. So now, Mike, you have no excuse. You have an episode, two episodes to go back and listen to and be like, yeah, these dudes, they did try to tell me, like, before I have kids, I need to think about this. So,
I had to go back and take notes.
Yeah, man, we talked about it all. So listen, guys, thank you so much for listening to the Relentlessly Real podcast. We appreciate you. My name is John.
My name's Mike.
And I realize now why John decided to save Jocelyn. He's been sitting on this podcast the whole day with this Olaf shirt, and I didn't even see it till he laid some kind of way.
Have,
no wonder you decided to go after.
Yeah, I was like,
you will leave the baby, but
listen, I said I got my baby girl. I don't know. Listen, let me tell you something real quick. I love Jordan. Okay, Jordan is actually born